Okay, so before we get this video started, I just want to say a disclaimer that I don't support any politician or I don't support any political party of any sort. I am not pro-liberal party. I am not pro-PDP Laban. I don't like any politician here in the Philippines. And I don't like any political party. I don't believe that any of them actually represents my values and my political or economic interests. So before anyone labels me as anything, as Dilawan or whatever, I just want to put it out there. So who do I think will win in the 2028 elections here in the Philippines? Wait, is it 2028? Yeah, I think it's 2028. Right. I do think that it's going to be Sara Duterte. And okay, before you get mad at me or before you celebrate what I'm saying, whichever political side you belong to, I just want to say that this is a prediction. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's still up to you. It's still up to you to decide whether that's actually beneficial for the country or not. I'm just saying that I don't think that there's anyone that can actually win against Sara Duterte as of now. I haven't heard of any solid opposition or any viable politician or any personality that can actually go against the popularity of Sara Duterte. So again, I'm not saying this from a political bias. I'm saying this from an analytic standpoint. That being said, I do think that there has to be a better opposition or a better set of politicians in general, I guess. Here in the Philippines, unfortunately, we're basically stuck with Liberal Party A and Liberal Party B, and Liberal Party B meaning PDP Laban, because if you actually trace back the roots of the PDP Laban, it's still founded by, allies of the Liberal Party. So we don't really have a decent conservative party or a libertarian party here in the Philippines. For the most part, it's just one liberal party in quotes and another liberal party in quotes. And when I say liberal, I mean Western pro-interventionism, government interventionism kind of liberalism. Right, so... Oh, and I'm getting shot at. So I've actually asked people about this question, who's going to run against Sara Duterte, and none of them actually were able to give a decent answer as to who the Liberal Party side of things would actually use against Sara Duterte. Some say it's Kiko Pangilinan. I don't think he's charismatic enough. And I don't think that he actually is popular with the masses. Maybe for the educated middle class, perhaps. But, winning over the middle class isn't enough, because the middle class here in the Philippines is actually shrinking and shrinking as time goes on. So, in order to win against Sara Duterte, you're going to have a politician or a personality that represents the middle class, at the same time represents the masses. And I just don't think that Kiko Pangilinan or Bam Aquino is actually fits the bill in that regard. And then there's also the interesting thing that that actually happened a few weeks ago. I asked a Duterte supporter who does he think would run against Sara Duterte, and basically he said that the closest thing to a personality that could actually win against Sara Duterte is Tulfo. I forgot which of the Tulfo brothers he was referring to, but it's just interesting that that's the closest thing to an opposition that we have here in the Philippines. And it's interesting because, the Tulfos were very much pro-Duterte back then. So perhaps one of them running against Sara Duterte, which isn't really surprising, because if you actually have been paying attention to the politics here in the Philippines, There's actually no like permanent alliances here in the Philippines. It's as temporary as the pipelines for the water supply here in Metro Manila. It's just broken every month. It's broken every year. So it's not really surprising that one representative from the similar political party would actually go against the other. So again, I'm not saying that Sara Duterte winning in 2028. Again, this is just my prediction. I don't think that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It depends mostly on who we're talking about. Like Sara Duterte winning is probably good for her own family and the politicians that are close to her, perhaps business people or business um, moguls or oligarchs that are close to her family. It's good for them. I think it's actually good for condominium owners or real estate property owners in the metro area because, well, we'll get to that later as to why that is. But I do think it's good. A few Filipinos would actually benefit from her winning, but whether that actually constitutes as a general good or a net positive for the entirety of the Philippines, that's probably up for debate. And let me know in the comment section what do you think of this analysis. Feel free to disagree with me as much as you want, just keep it civil. So now, what do I think will happen in the entirety of 2028? What does a Sara Duterte presidency look like in the Philippine context? So first of all, I think that there's going to be a wave of political persecution similar to what is happening right now with the Marcos administration. They are politically persecuting, in my opinion, a lot of critics, a lot of it's weird to say opposition because they used to belong to the same party, Uniteam or PDP Laban. So I don't think it's really valid to call them opposition. But for now, it seems to be there's a schism between the Uniteam, the Marcos side of Uniteam and the Duterte side of Uniteam. For foreigners, this is probably weird to listen to because you might not be able to relate to whatever it is that I'm saying. But for Filipinos, So yeah, I do think that there's going to be persecutions, but it's going to come from the Duterte side of things rather than the Marcos side of things because, of course, there's a transition of power from the Marcoses back to the Dutertes again. I also do think that Sara Duterte is going to clean up house. It's not a good thing, I don't think. I don't think it's just political persecution. I think it's going to be bloody, in my opinion. I think that would be my prediction. Again, I'm not saying this as a good thing. Maybe for the supporters of Sara Duterte or the fanatics of the Duterte family, perhaps they would see that as a positive thing. But for the rest of the Filipino people, I don't think that's a good thing. That it's becoming normalized that if you disagree or if you're from a different political party, that you could just get bubbled to just use a euphemism as for this video not to be censored on YouTube. So definitely another wave of bodies, let's just say, is going to come. On a more geopolitical standpoint or analysis, I do think that the Philippines is going to go back closer to China. I think with the Marcos administration, we've went back closer to the United States or more Western influence. But with Sara Duterte, we're going to go back to the CCP or the Eastern influence. And that being said, I think China's going to be more emboldened in taking more territory in the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea if you're more pro-China than more pro-Filipino, I guess. Now, it's interesting as to what the United States is going to do about it because the United States have 3 bases here in the Philippines. And I don't think that they're just going to allow China to just encroach in the West Philippine Sea area, because that is an essential trade route, not just for the Philippines, and not just for China, but for the West itself. A lot of trade goes through that channel, or that open sea. So, and China having military bases in the West Philippine Sea does not bode well for the American interests. So I don't know if they're going to do anything about that, and if they're actually going to do anything about influencing or having a regime change here in the Philippines. I hope not. Uh, I mean, not that I like the Philippines going to get closer to China, but at the same time, I don't want foreign powers meddling with our elections. I guess for a more domestic analysis, I do think that a lot of infrastructure is going to be built under Sara Duterte. I'm not saying this as a positive thing. I'm not saying this as a negative thing neither. It's up to you to decide that. So I do think that Sara Duterte is actually going to bring about more infrastructure here in the Philippines, mostly because of a debt-driven economy. So it's going to be more infrastructure, more build programs, whatever the new name of that program will be, because I think Bongbong Marcos changed it to build something better. I don't know, whatever it is that he called it, but he changed the build program of Duterte and changed it into something else. And probably Sara Duterte is going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a lot of the financing would come from China, and it's going to be debt driven, and the interest rates are going to be sky high. So I think for some people, they believe that the infrastructure is worth the high debt and the interest rates. But for some people, they are very wary about that, because as more debt incurs, or the more debt the country incurs, the more taxes that is going to be required of the people just to pay the interest rates of those. And let's be real, when it comes to debt traps, most countries are unable to pay it, and they're basically forced to give up resources, give up land, give up basically independence to whoever it is that they're indebted to. So that's going to be a problem at some point. I guess it just begs the question: is it worth the trade-off? The fact that the Philippines is going to incur more debt in exchange for perhaps in the short term better infrastructure, and would that pay for itself eventually, or would it end up just with the finances going to the pockets of corrupt politicians, and none of the infrastructure actually gets built, and at the end of the day the Filipino people are just sunk into more debt? So it's going to be interesting. I do hope something good comes out of it, whatever your political leanings are. Right. So I said earlier that I'm going to discuss why I am assuming that a Sara Duterte presidency is going to be good for real estate owners in the metro area. So for the most part, during the Duterte administration back in 2016 to 2022, a lot of condominiums and a lot of apartments, a lot of land, and a lot of infrastructure was actually utilized by the pogos and the pogo workers. So that shot up the value of real estate in the metro. So it was really beneficial for real estate owners here in the Philippines, or here in the Metro Manila area. But it's going to be interesting, because during the Marcos era, because they went after the Pogos themselves, it actually kind of crashed. I don't know if that's a proper term to use, but it basically reversed what happened during the Duterte administration. So again, I'm not saying whether this is a general good or general bad. It depends on who you ask, I guess. Oh, why am I getting shot at? Ouch. Oh, crap. Okay. Right, sorry. This is probably like... Uh-oh. Oh, crap. Well, RIP dog meat. So I do think that Sara Duterte is probably going to bring back the interests of the Chinese business owners, more specifically like Pogo owners or Pogo companies, gaming companies as they call it, but it's, let's be real, it's gambling companies. And that would again increase the demand for rentals here in the metro area. So it's going to be beneficial for those who have invested in the real estate in the metro area. So for sure, they're going to benefit from a Sara Duterte presidency. But as for the rest of the Philippines, that's up for debate, probably. You know, I guess depends on whatever political leaning that, well, not political leaning, whoever it is that you support, or however you see the Duterte family is, whether they're a net benefit or a net negative for the country. Yep. Oh, and there's dog. Sorry, dog. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Right. Yeah, that being said, I think that's pretty much it. It sucks that my first recording actually didn't record anything. So now I have this kind of butchered version of what I said earlier, damn it. I was kind of rolling. I was cooking with the previous recording, but now I'm overly distracted by the game. And now my mind's jumbled. But yeah, anyway, so again, just reiterating my disclaimer. I don't support any politician. I don't support any political party. I don't support any... I'm not a fanatic of any politician or any personality here in the Philippines. I care more about what benefits me, what benefits my family, what benefits the people around me. That being said, I'm more focused on the policies themselves rather than the politician or the last name of the politician that wants to rule over me. So the last time I actually voted was back in 2016. I voted for a constitutionalist, the last constitutionalist in my opinion, that ran here in the Philippines. But unfortunately, she didn't win and she died eventually, like a few years later. So it sucks for the country. It sucks for me because I voted for her. But still, I'm proud of my choice. I do think that, you know, voting for our own interests and voting for who represents you or your beliefs, I think that's still the most important thing about, you know, elections or voting or democracy in general. We shouldn't be voting based on who do we think can actually win. That's actually a circular argument, a circular logic that a lot of Filipinos needs to avoid, because that happened in 2016. They wouldn't vote for a politician because they don't believe that that politician could win. Then how could that politician win if you're not going to vote for him or her? So again, circular logic, terrible way of thinking, terrible way of, you know, deciding as to who you are going to vote for or not going to vote for. You should be voting based on your own interests and who do you think benefits you the most, not emotionally, not just feeling like, oh, this politician, you like the last name, or you're loyal to faithful. You're loyal to the last name of the politician. I do hope that you vote for someone that actually represents your political beliefs and uh, represents your economic and social interests. So yeah, that's my prediction. I think Sara Duterte is going to win, and she's going to go after everyone who went after her family, and she's going to use her power to benefit her side of politics, I guess you could say. And whether that's good or bad, generally for the entirety of the Philippines, that's up for debate. Please let me know in the comment sections if which part of my analysis you disagree with. Who do you think is actually going to run for on the Liberal Party side of things, or the yellow or pink side of things? If just for the sake of simplifying things, I'm not really for that. I don't like the idea that we're oversimplifying politics here in the Philippines into just colors, but for the sake of just ending the video soon, rather than like an hour later. Who do you think runs for the Liberal Party, or the yellows and pinks? Is it Kiko Pangilinan? Is it Bam Aquino? Is it, I don't know, Bimbi Aquino? Hope not. But who do you think it is? Who do you think going to represent that side of politics? Sound off on the comment sections. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening me yap and yap and yap. I'm just trying to put out something because I keep ending up overthinking things, and yeah, I don't know how to end a video. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Should I just end it here? Or should I make things awkward? I'll make things awkward. Oh, by the way, like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you so much.